Hey guys, Richard here, back with Cosmic Human Design, and I think we're going to finish up the I Ching appendix today. Punishment. This is a word created by the collective ego to describe its idea of correcting a person or an animal by using force. The cosmos corrects people in ways that are in accord with the cosmic harmonics. These cosmic reactions are always directed at reconnecting a person with his true self by keeping the ego in him in check. It is the ego that perceives the cosmic correction as, quote, punishment. Sacrifice. The idea of sacrifice violates a number of cosmic principles, such as the principles of justice and of the equality and dignity of all aspects of the cosmic whole. The cosmos gives its gifts freely to the person who is modest. Cosmic justice respects a person's dignity. In fact, a part of its function is to restore a person to his dignity, which he has thrown away, as by thinking that he has to make deals with the, quote, higher power. The idea of sacrifice comes from the feudal view of the cosmos as having a hierarchical order with an all-powerful and judgmental entity at the top that needs to be pleased, bribed, or soothed. Since everything is an equal part of the cosmos, no one part requires the submission, reverence, or sacrifice of another part. Senses. The senses include a person's 5 physical senses and a number of metaphorical senses. As to the 5 physical senses, known as smell, hearing, taste, touch, and seeing, some of them have, in addition to their obvious characteristics, what may be called figurative characteristics. Their function is to tell us the inner truth or untruth of a matter. Thus, the sense of smell can, for example, smell authority, since authority is not part of the cosmic order, but belongs to the demonic sphere of consciousness and therefore smells intimidating. It also smells danger or the hidden incorrectness of a situation, as when we say that something smells foul, indicated by a wrinkling of the nose. Among the 5 senses, the sense of smell is the keenest in sensing the hidden state of affairs. Next in this ability is the sense of taste. The common expression that something is unsavory leaves no doubt about the crass inappropriateness of someone's behavior, nor does the perception that something tastes cloyingly sweet leave a doubt about the presence of ego flattery or obsequiousness. Even though the suspicious odors or tastes are not noticeable to the outer senses, they register in our consciousness if we have practiced awareness of them. Listening to our inner senses requires practice. The word listening draws attention to the next sense involved in perceiving the inner truth or untruth of a situation, the sense of inner hearing. Its function is to bring what has been smelled or tasted into the person's conscious mind. When the sense of inner hearing gives the message that something does not sound right, the figurative sense of touch comes into play. Its function is to compare the perception with the person's sense of inner truth. The sage informs us that every person is born with a memory of what cosmic harmony feels like. This memory is his inner truth. When the figurative sense of touch compares a perception that does not sound right with this memory, the result is perceived as dissonance, an inner feeling that something does not feel right. So we all have this memory. We all know somewhere deep inside what cosmic harmony feels like. At this point, the person's metaphorical senses come into play. Their function is to automatically trigger the correct reaction to the disharmonious situation. The metaphorical senses include a person's sense of appropriateness, his sense of loyalty to his inner truth, his sense of fairness or neutrality, his sense of equality, being equal to all things, his sense of caution or danger, his sense of dignity, his sense of integrity or wholeness, his sense of inner quiet, his sense of innocence, his sense of cosmic blame for betrayal of his true self, his sense of the dignity of all things, and his sense of what his cosmic duty is. One of the general characteristics of the metaphorical senses is their simplicity. It lies in their ability to allow a person to react harmoniously and appropriately to disharmonious circumstances without the necessity of thinking. They keep him centered and complete within himself. Their full abilities are unleashed when a person consciously validates their importance, or in other words, pays them his full respect. The result is self-respect in its true meaning. The task of human self-development, as the sage makes us understand, has to do with developing one's awareness of the workings of the inner senses and the metaphorical senses, and to consciously engage one's sense of inner seeing to gain an inner picture of the disharmonious situation. This inner picture may be showing the opposite of what the situation appears to be on the outside. Gaining an inner picture of the situation allows a person to actually see the disharmonious results of a false use of words that creates imps, demons, and dragons. The sense of inner seeing can also be engaged unconsciously, which occurs when a person is dreaming. However, a person needs to distinguish between dreams that come from his inner truth and those that come from his subconscious. He can employ the RTCM and any needed hexagrams to decipher them if the sage indicates that they have a message of importance for him. Although the metaphorical senses may be under various spells, they continue to work on behalf of the whole personality as best they can. Those parts not directly under the spell try to make up for the functions of those that are. Many of the metaphorical senses are located in the muscle tissues throughout the body. They bring about involuntary reactions such as blushing, retreating, fleeing, and also advancing along the line of no resistance. The latter is another term for saying they work through transformation. However, this can happen only when they are not under a spell. One of the functions of a person's metaphorical senses is to protect him from harm coming from outside that threatens his completeness. In short, they enable him to do the right thing at the right moment. Soul. The word soul, when used to describe that which is immortal in a person, as in the expression mind, soul, and body, is a creation of the collective ego. The collective ego has created words that support its mistaken idea that a person is divided into parts, some of which are mortal, the body, while others are not. The problem lies in the idea of mortality. When used to describe a person's true self in the sense of essence, one needs to be aware that it is his very animal nature that is his essence, and not his quote unquote soul. Spirit. We were advised by the sage that this word has been incorrectly used by the collective ego to divide a person's wholeness into mind, body, and spirit, and to incorrectly designate spirit as higher than body. It is used correctly, however, when it is used to refer to a person's life force in the sense of what animates him, since what animates him has to do with his animal nature. So spirit is linked to the animal nature, not with some, incorporeal thing. Spirituality, this word being a derivative of spirit in the incorrect use indicated above, is often used by the collective ego in regard to a person's, quote, self-development. In this idea, the spirit is regarded as, quote, higher, and what needs to be developed at the expense of his lower or animal nature. Spiritual development thus has the goal of separating the person from his animal nature in order to attain some abstract standard of perfection. Since it is our animal nature that connects us with the cosmos, spiritual development leads a person only farther and farther away from his unity with the cosmic whole. By contrast, self-development, as described in the I Ching, is achieved by freeing oneself from all ideas that falsely divide one's original wholeness. See hexagram 23, splitting apart, and hexagram 27, nourishing. Ironically, people who speak of spirituality often associate this term with the idea of a new relationship with nature or with, quote, holistic thinking. What they do not realize is that by, quote, thinking about being holistic, they miss out on living holistically. Living holistically means to be one with the cosmos. This unity does not come about by, quote, uniting body, mind, and soul, but by ceasing to see ourselves as divided into these parts. This can be achieved by saying the inner no to the idea that we are so divided. We are a unity by nature. Wow. Incredible, incredible wisdom here. We are a unity by nature. I'm not divided into a mind, soul, and a spirit. I'm one entity. You see how this false use of language splits us apart. Hexagram 23, splitting apart. It's a strategy of the collective ego, of our ego, to allow the ego to remain in control of your personality. Success. As a standard term, the I Ching refers to the positive result achieved through cooperating with the helpers of the invisible world. Remember, that's how everything happens, is through cooperating with the helpers of the invisible world. And the belief in helpers of the invisible world is what separates the collective ego from the natural order of society, which, you know, is covered up by the collective ego. That's the main delimiting point. Are we including the helpers in our everyday awareness? Supernatural. What the collective ego calls supernatural is actually the normal way of nature when a person cooperates with it. The use of this term only shows a lack of understanding of the way the helpers of nature function. The same is true for what people call miracles. Using such terms to describe the result of the helpers' activities gives credit to a wrong source and causes the helpers to withdraw from the situation. Calling a healing that was achieved with the aid of the helpers a miracle can lead to a regression. This negative effect can be reversed by deprogramming the word miracle as a projection and spell, and by asking the sage to call in all the helpers necessary to correct the situation. Wow. There is no supernatural. It's natural. Transformation, the way by which nature achieves everything harmoniously. Transformation occurs in the realm of the atom, which is also the realm of consciousness. The realm of the atom is chi energy, which is composed of the light and the dark. Transformation compresses cosmic consciousness into the forms of nature and also decompresses the forms when they have completed their experiences. Applied to humans, transformation is felt when one is released from the bondage of a spell, projection, or poison arrow. The feeling is similar to what may be described as the simultaneous lining up of all the images of the slot machine when the jackpot is hit. The transformation affects the psyche and the body simultaneously. Transformation occurs without resistance. It is what is described in Wilhelm's commentary to the main text of Hexagram 57 as penetration, which produces willing consent. The true self. The true self is a name given by the sage to that which constitutes a person's true nature. In its natural state, the true self is in harmony with the cosmos. It is completely endowed by the cosmos with everything the person needs to live his life in a body in peace, harmony, and joy. A person's true nature is animal nature. It is totally good and undivided. When, through the activity of the collective ego, a person's nature is divided into parts, with one being defined as superior and the other as inferior, or as, quote, the source of evil, spells are put on his animal nature that cause it to act in perverted ways. Thus, the true self becomes the stranger within. Many hexagrams show the evil consequences of these spells and point to the necessity of freeing the true self from them. Verbal logic. The term verbal logic is used to define the kind of logic that is based only on thinking to the exclusion of feeling. By contrast, cosmic logic is based entirely on feeling, but can also express itself in words. It can be said that the collective ego owes its whole existence to verbal logic. Because verbal logic has no cosmic basis, it needs a huge system of justifying rationales, phrases, to support its basic premises. To establish its basic premises, verbal logic relies on a single physical sense, the sense of outer sight. It explains things only by looking at their outer appearance and then drawing fantasy conclusions. Thus, it can be said that verbal logic not only depends on the thinking mind, but also on the image mind to fill in with fantasy and myth what cannot be seen with the outer eyes. A Walking Dead person. Walking Dead. This term refers to a person who has totally separated from his feeling consciousness, disdaining his feelings and his body. Each person is born with a certain amount of chi, or inner light, that invigorates and supports him during his life in a body. Under healthy circumstances, his chi energy is constantly renewed through contact with his feelings of inner truth, which in turn connect him with the cosmic whole. His chi is also replenished by cosmic love received either directly from the cosmos or through being truly loved by another person. His chi energy is decreased by ignoring and suppressing his true feelings and by rejecting the cosmic gift of love when it comes to him. If neglected long enough, his inner light dwindles to a mere set of coals. Often at this point, he experiences a major life crisis in which he perceives the state of his inner light. If he then further neglects it, the light becomes extinguished and he becomes a walking dead person. The sage calls such a person one without head because he lacks the ability to further connect with the cosmic whole. People may continue in this state for many years, stealing chi energy from other people by creating sympathy and attention. They may also draw chi from objects, but especially from crafts and art objects into which the craftsmen and artists have poured their chi. When a person realizes through using the RTCM that he is being drained of chi energy in this way, he needs to inwardly disconnect from and remain neutral in the presence of a walking dead person to prevent giving away his energy. It is also important that he not view that person as a culprit, as that too would give him energy. Because the sage is in the presence of every person, it's helpful to ask the sage to call in the cosmic army to kill the demonic elements that have taken over the other's body and to revive his true self. I feel like I'm watching an episode of The Walking Dead right now. Wow, this is amazing information we're getting here. Work. Because the word work is mostly used to describe the way things are done from the perspective of the human-centered view, we need to be on guard when we use it unreflectingly to describe the cosmic reality. The connotations that accompany the word are that work is hard, and that it is a curse put on man, that it is the opposite of enjoying life, that hard work will be rewarded, and that we, quote, should work hard. And monumentalizing work is something a person needs to do, and as what defines his life, the existence of cosmic help is completely eclipsed. Furthermore, the idea that good work is hard makes it difficult for people to understand that cosmic help, when engaged, achieve goals effortlessly, without incurring resistance through transformation that occurs in the realm of the atom. When we include the helpers in whatever we do, all things are accomplished easily. The ego also likes to suggest that freeing our true self is, quote, hard work. That is one of its tricks to discourage us from undertaking the task of freeing ourselves from its control. When we include the helpers in freeing our true self, then it's accomplished easily. All right, guys, so that is it for the I Ching, Oracle of the Cosmic Way, the Cosmic I Ching. I might at some point make some more videos on this I Ching. I'm sure I'll touch on it in pretty much all my videos, but I really sincerely hope you guys have enjoyed this series and the appendix, the hexagrams, everything. And let me know what you think. And I'll see you guys in the next one. It was fun.